It's like a little world.
I can't say because we're on there.
Can't say he's on the air.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Cry.
Get the chin back up there.
You know.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the City of Twin Oaks Board of Aldermen meeting for August the 21st, 2024. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call roll, please.
Alderman Eisenhower.
Yes.
Alderman Stokel.
Here.
Alderman Whitmore.
Here.
Mayor Fortune.
Here. Okay, we have an agenda that's been posted for tonight's meeting. If there are no amendments or changes, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Any citizen comments?
Nope, nothing
There
yet.
being none. Okay, next we would like to administer the oath of office to Alderman candidate Cruzen.
All right,
Would you please
There you go.
come forward?
come on up. Okay, anywhere you want to be. All right, okay.
Should we get a picture?
Sure,
Yeah,
if somebody
probably.
wants to take a picture, go ahead. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, so raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jim Person,
Solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law
solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of Alderman of the City of Twin Oaks,
for the office of Alderman for the City of Twin Oaks,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws of the state of Missouri affecting the City of Twin Oaks. Is that long? The provisions of all laws
of the state of Missouri affecting the City of Twin
There
Oaks,
you go. The ordinances of the City of Twin Oaks,
the ordinances of the City of Twin Oaks,
and that I will faithfully demean myself
and that I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of Alderman.
in the office of Alderman.
That's it. Welcome to the board.
Welcome.
You've been demeaned.
There's your copy to sign for us, and then we'll make a copy for you.
Okay.
You got the sunshine spot, sorry.
I do.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda, regular meeting minutes from August the 7th. We have a bills list from August the 3rd to August 16th. We have a credit card statement from July 2024. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved. Report of committees, financial statements. David?
So, I didn't provide a June 30th report, this is the meeting schedules. That's in the packet. But I'll go ahead and go with July 30th, the 7 months in July 31st. If you have any questions on June 30th, but it's not much changes, as we all know. On the second page in, which all of the page numbers, I think, say page 1 on it. Sorry about that. But the combined balance sheet shows, again, over $2 million in cash in the bank. That's about $200,000 more than we had a year ago in the bank. So the city continues to be stable, and until we do the capital or pay for the capital improvements, that cash balance will probably be pretty steady. And the fund balances are about $2.2 million at this point. If we go into the next page, the revenues, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and change in fund balance. We have brought in about $150,000 more than we've spent so far this year. And that is why we're up to $2.2 million in fund balance. And we'll get into some of the details. The merchant licenses came in the last couple of months, in June and July, and that accounts for about almost $100,000 in revenue. one revenue source that we're still tinkering with is the property tax, and that'll probably even out here as we get the, as we start levying the tax next month on the property tax, get those numbers in. And I think we'll find out exactly where we're at for this year. So far, only 20,000 compared to last year, which the reassessment year causes a big fluctuation from time to time. On the expenditure side, well, let's go to the next page on the sales tax, and I'll get into some more expenditure discussion. The sales tax is very healthy. Overall, sales tax is up 4.6%. We have included on the sales tax page a little graph showing how it's grown over the years, how it's fluctuated from time to time because of COVID and other collection factors, distribution factors. But so far this year, we've gotten about 58% of the total budget. That's what the column on the right-hand side shows the 2024 budget. That's where we want to be. It's showing 58%, which is about where 7 months would be. 7 months is 58% of the year, so we're right on track. The only down area is use tax, or down from the prior year, and that's the first full year of use tax, so there's probably a lot that came in and was booked there. It's kind of hard to figure out where it's coming from because you look at who's paying that use tax, it's Amazon. It doesn't tell you where exactly those purchases are taking place or who's buying these things. But the other sales tax is very strong. The 1% up 5% from a year ago. The local option about 6%. So overall, we're in very good shape on the sales tax, and that's 80% of our total revenues. The next page is a new page that April and I've been working on and trying to move to a new categorization of the expenditures. And what April has suggested, and I think is a good idea, we've, instead of looking at contractual and salaries and those kinds of categories, to look at it more on a functional basis. But so we've broken them down, the expenditures year to date, into these 5 categories of operating, administration, road, police, resident, what we are calling resident services, and park. That gives us a total operating. So far we've spent about $593,481 in operating expenditures during 2024. We've spent $161,500 in capital and debt, $71,393 for the total $826,000. And if you look at the graphs, you can see kind of a breakdown of those numbers. And over on the right-hand side is the description, what kind of line items that we've included in those categories. You can see administration has the city clerk, assistant clerk, and the elected official salaries, etc. The road has things related to street maintenance. The police is the county contract for police. The resident services is what we've considered those things that go directly to the residents, such as sanitation, leaf vacuuming, etc. And then park is what is maintaining the park. These don't necessarily match up with the funds. We can, some of these things are spread up, like park has its own park fund. And some of these things may vary from fund to fund, but these are the categories that we think make sense, and maybe we'll be incorporating into the 2025 budget these kinds of line items instead of what is currently in there. So if you look at the expenditures by category, so far this year, 72% of the expenditures are for those operating categories. Debt is about 9%, capital 19%. Now, the budget varies a little bit from that. If you go if you break it down into those three pieces, operating for the year, we budgeted about 57.5%. But that's because we haven't paid out all this capital yet. Capital is going to take out a bigger share. It's going to end up being about a third of the pie, and operating will be 57%. Debt will no doubt be about 8% of the total expenditures. And then we took at the bottom and broke down what those operating expenses on a graph basis. And so administration's so far about 42%, and the rest is broken down into those various categories. And as a side note, we could even break that down further. The administration, 38% of the administration so far this year is made up of personnel costs. Insurance is 17% of that. So about 55% so far of our expenditures this year has been made up in those categories. Any questions on that? But I think this kind of gives us another way of looking at things as opposed to how things have been slotted in prior, and maybe certainly looking for feedback on whether you think these categories make sense.
Dave, I think we plan on looking at this once a quarter this way.
Yeah, that's sure.
And it'll be particularly interesting, I think, when we look at it at the year to date, at the end of the year, for the overall, what the breakdown looks like in terms of the percentages of the entire operating budget,
Right.
for the entire year, what that looks like.
Yeah, because these numbers the actual will vary about, but what we expect for the budget will end up being a little bit different percentages. As we mentioned, capital is going to be a much bigger piece of all this. So the final page there is the budget, and I've amended these numbers for where when we amended the budget for the small amount that we increased the capital budget for a couple of months ago. So we have brought in about 60% of what is budgeted for the year, which is good, right on the mark. And we've spent a little bit less than the total budget through the 7 months. And of course, a lot of that is because we haven't spent all of that capital project money yet. So still, if everything comes in on budget, revenue-wise, and we spend everything that is in the budget, exactly down to the penny on both sides, we would end up with $1,967,000 at the end of the year. But I'm pretty sure we're probably going to end up a little more than that. Any questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
On the administration side, I want to make sure that everything is falling in the right bucket.
Sure.
Have we really looked at everything that's hitting that administration and kind of filtered that out?
Well, the line items, excuse me, that we've listed here in the description category is what is included in that administration number. Now, it's possible that, and we'll look at it closer, whether or not things are coded in property and expenditures, but I think it's pretty.
So, I mean, we've got to lock in. I mean, let's lock into this now, whatever we're doing,
Well, yeah, that's certainly.
and not change it because we're going to be looking at it.
Yeah,
On a
no,
quarterly
yeah,
basis.
we want to be consistent, you're right. Yeah,
Right.
In order to compare.
Yeah.
But that's what we have
Okay.
right now. If anybody has any other.
I think the only thing that might change from my perspective is the breakdown of like the maintenance supervisor and maintenance worker
Yeah.
salaries, that 60-40 split. In the 3 months that I've been here and been supervising those two people, it doesn't seem to directly translate to their day-to-day work. I think it's significantly more time spent in the park and less time spent on the roads than what we have currently.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing that I would suggest that we change and or yeah, we'll have to look at sort of how that change is made.
Yeah,
whether
that's
it's
how it's
different
reflected in
responsibilities
the
or,
budget as it's set up as a 60-40 split.
right.
But, obviously that's not.
I would have guessed it were reversed.
80-20, I think.
I mean, as the current working situation is, it is probably closer to 80-20 at this point, 80% park, 20%. And I would say in terms of the maintenance worker, it's probably 100% park and 0% anything else. So, but again, those are things we're going to have to kind of look at. And so that would be the only category that may change over time as we kind of work out what that exactly looks like. But the rest of them make sense to me. And if you guys, look at what we've put in resident services and things like that. So one of the big ones that Dave and I talked about was the 3rd of July. Where does that belong? It used to be in administrative, but I really feel like it's an event for the residents, for the community. So it should be in resident services. So I asked him to move that over. So, and kind of keep all of those things in one bucket. Makes sense to me. But if you guys feel differently about any of those categories and want to see them.
Yeah, and there could be, if we don't want to get too many categories, but we could have one that's called recreation services, where you put the events in, or leisure services,
Sure,
or something
parks
like
and
that.
recreation, yeah.
If you don't want to put that into just resident services.
Wouldn't it be in the park?
Well, to me, I wanted to see separately how much it costs us just to maintain the park, just to have the park, and have that be a separate number, so that if, in the case, like Russ mentioned, if we ever got in an economic downturn or whatever, where we may have to start making hard decisions about what to cut, we would know what that number looks like just to keep the park functional. And probably some of the events and things like that would be the first things that we would pull back on. So that's why, to me, it makes sense to have that in a separate category.
So is their hourly wages then going to be divided up in both of those sections
That's how it is currently.
towards the year?
Yeah, that's how it is currently. It's
So you
they
can
are
track-
they are billed into those separate funds too. So into the road fund, into the park fund in that way. So in terms of tracking, the number of hours, I mean, I think it's always just going to have to be a percentage that we're going to have to determine what that percentage is, rather than asking staff to differentiate how many hours they're in the park versus doing other things. I think that'll be a challenge for the staff to implement. So it would be more, we need to decide sort of what that percentage needs to be, and then ask them to stick to that or whatever it is. So
It seems like immediately you would reverse those two figures, 60-40.
Yeah.
Because you think it's even worse than that, but at least
Yeah.
change those now.
sure, and we may do that for the next one, but this was just sort of to get the categories in line and get the breakdown the way we want it. And so it may look a little different next quarter when we report it, and we'll see how those changes go.
Yeah, one other, kind of get back on the revenue side there, I got to mention. I have been tracking the kind of the top 4 or 5 sales tax generators. I don't know who they are. And what I've seen, and what I look at isn't so much the flow of how it's coming in, but, because the grocery store may file for their May business may not come here until July, sometimes August, depending on how the state flows it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been looking at actually their file period, and to get a good idea of how that business is going, as opposed to how it's flowing into the revenues, because ultimately it will. And what's interesting, in the grocery area, there is definitely a solid 14% increase in grocery business. I'm not going to say exactly where it is, but that's a little out of bounds. But that seems to be solid and are stable in that growth. It hasn't really changed much over the last year and a half. So that's kind of a permanent increase in that particular area. another little tip.
And that relates to the cost of goods. Their cost of goods.
Well, I think it relates to the addition of a grocery store. It, more, and inflation probably, a little bit.
Personally paid for it, that's true.
Any other questions for Dave? Was that it?
Yeah, that's all I
Okay.
got.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the work on the categories
Oh,
too.
no, thank you.
Okay, Park Committee, obviously Jim is not here.
Yes, and Paula is not here, so I'm going to be Paula tonight. I can
Okay.
give you guys the rundown. Unless, would you like to do it, Tim?
No, I didn't.
Yes, she's ill.
Last meeting.
Yeah.
Back to COVID or?
No,
No. She's just not feeling good today.
bad food.
Okay, so the last meeting, they talked about the finalized plans for Family Fun Day. So a couple little changes. Instead of doing full food like the pizza that they did last year, they're going to kind of lean into the carnival theme and just do snacks. So that's easier for the committee to manage, and they think it's just going to be better overall for the event itself, because they did cut it down by an hour, so it's 1 to 4 instead of 1 to 5. So that's their plan going forward. And we also, Russ mentioned that it's getting close to a big anniversary for the park. So it will be the 30th anniversary of Twin Oaks Park this September. So the park committee doesn't know that yet, but Paul and I are going to ask them to consider if we wanted to do something to commemorate it at Family Fun Day, because it was dedicated in September of 1994. So we'll probably have something mention of it at Family Fun Day to commemorate that. They did agree on
Dunk booth with the new alderman.
probably won't be cake, maybe cupcakes, something easy to hand out, Dennis, not cake. But we'll figure out what they want to do. They did agree on the movie night. The fall movie night is going to be October 18th. They're showing Young Frankenstein. So that's going to be happening if you want to mark your calendars. And we did take a look at the park budget overall, and they were under on several of the other events earlier in the year. So they're going to expand the winter lighting event for this year to add some additional lighting in the park. So they both contacted the lighting company that did the park lighting last year for some additional options. And the committee is looking at doing some DIY options too. So they're wanting to do kind of a light tunnel over the bridge, which will be very cool. So they're going to have a work day pretty soon and get that
Looking
thing made.
for volunteers.
Yes. So we will definitely need some
This
volunteers.
is not a John project, this is a community project.
Right.
This is park committee project. Correct.
Cool.
So, yeah. So that's the rundown from the park committee.
PVC, right? PVC pipes.
Yes, PVC pipes to make the arches and
Lights.
lit with LED lights.
Yeah.
So, and I have also asked them to figure out how we can do a lighting at the winter lighting instead of just having it on when everybody gets down there. So we might give Russ a big fake button and I'll be standing over at the plug and plug it in while he presses the button or something, just to make it a little bit more fanfare of the event. So that's the plan right now. Any questions about the park committee?
Okay, thank you. Okay, no old business, on to new business. City Clerk, would you read bill number 24-15, please?
Sure. An ordinance readopting and reestablishing and making public a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial personal interest of certain municipal officials.
This is a requirement that we have every year
From the state.
from the state. Correct. Any discussion? To read it a second time. please.
Sure. Bill number 24-15, an ordinance readopting, reestablishing, and making public a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial personal interest of certain municipal officials.
Motion to approve bill number 24-15 as presented.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Eisenhower,
Yes.
Alderman Cruzen,
Yes.
Alderman Whitmore,
Yes.
Alderman Stokel.
Yes.
Bill number 24-15 becomes ordinance 24-15 by a vote of 4 yes, 0 no. Would you read bill number 24-16, please?
Sure. This is an ordinance approving a maintenance agreement with St. Louis County.
This is for the crosswalk at Boley, the Boley project. Any discussion? Would you read it a second time, please?
Bill number 24-16, an ordinance approving a maintenance agreement with St. Louis County.
Motion to approve bill number 24-16.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Alderman Eisenhower,
Yes.
Alderman Cruzen,
Yes.
Alderman Whitmore,
Yes.
Alderman Stokel.
Yes.
Bill 24-16 becomes ordinance 24-16 by a vote of 4 yes, 0 no. No discussion items. Attorney's report.
I have one important thing to say, and that is welcome Alderman Cruzen. And that's all I have.
Okay, City clerk report.
Okay. I have a lot of
You have a
important
lot
things
to
to
talk
say.
about.
Yeah. Okay. So if you guys noticed this month, Paula is testing out a new format for the meeting minutes. So if you read them, which I'm sure you all did and were
Liked it.
riveted. So she's testing out, kind of calling out who made the motion, the second, what it was. So just making them a little clearer and easier to read. So if you have any feedback about that, please let us know. We did not receive any bids for our leaf vacuuming RFP. So I did some research. I have reached out to our previous company as well. So they're supposed to get something back to me by the end of the week for continuation of services. But in doing some,
We're willing.
I don't know yet.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see what the price is.
Yeah, I am anticipating perhaps a substantial increase. So I did a little bit of preliminary research into sort of what other municipalities do. The vast majority in St. Louis County use their own public works staff and their own equipment to do leaf pickups, and they do far fewer than we do. So maybe it's 2 a year, and they do them with their own staff and they have their own equipment. Out of the few that do contract for the service, all of them use Hendel, which is who we've been using. So I'm gathering that they are the only game in town. So that being said, I did look into, how much it might be if we were to buy our own commercial equipment. They run about $20,000 for the equipment, but we run into the issue of having staff to be able to operate the equipment, having a place to store the equipment in the off season. So we have that. Our current contract with Hendel was $10,000 a year for 5 pickups. So depending on what kind of increase we see, we may have to look at a reduction in services, but it'll be a discussion for a future meeting. So just kind of keep that in mind.
You cut the number of
Yeah.
occurrences.
Yeah, we do 5 pickups currently, so that's pretty unusual for the amount that we do. So it could be something where we go to 3 or 4.
Usually the first one is always too early.
Right.
Right. So we may have to just discuss that in the future. So just so it's on your minds. We had the Red Cross blood drive last week, I believe, last Friday. It was very successful. We had 22 units collected. The Red Cross staff was very happy with the location, and they have asked that we consider being a regular donation site. So they like to have the donations scheduled in advance in the right amount of time that people can donate in between, so that often the same people will come back time after time and donate at the same area. So I told Paula, I think that's a great idea, and she's willing to, schedule it and kind of make sure that everything, it was very simple. They came in with their own equipment and set up. And so we felt like it was a great service to keep offering in the future. So you'll probably see that again every 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that you can donate.
Could we put a note on the website that it was very successful?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely can.
Thank everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I did talk to, Dennis had asked me about how we're doing on our recycling with the Gateway. And so I did talk to Chuck from Gateway, and he said we were doing pretty well, 75% good, 25% bad. And he said the only thing that we did need to work on was using plastic bags. People are putting plastic bags in their recycling or putting their recycling items in trash bags and then in the bin. So he asked us to put out a notice about that. So I did put something on the website already. There will be an email going out next Thursday before the next recycling day to remind people. So that's
Good, thank
Yeah.
you.
so on to the project updates. We're moving forward, still on the same timeline with the Crescent Avenue Sidewalk Stormwater Project. I did learn late last week that Valley Park has a paving project in the same area going on about the same time. So that will be interesting. But so far, our contractor has seen no conflicts. He reached out to their contractor right away, and they've already talked about coordinating efforts over there. We're still working out a few little issues with being able to keep Crescent Road open for the fire department to use and for the school buses to use. So between those two projects, we're still kind of coordinating that part of it, but we are on track to start the main part of construction the week of Labor Day. So right after Labor Day. So
Part of what they're fixing is from Laws Court
to Hannah.
to Hannah.
Yeah,
which
they will be
is a
repaving.
mess.
Yeah.
So, and they're also doing some on Crescent.
They're doing their section of Crescent Avenue as well,
Right.
milling and paving, all of that too, as well as lots of other streets in Valley Park. But those two are the ones closest to us, obviously, that we're most concerned about and want to make sure that we're not getting in each other's way over there. So, yeah. So on the park grant, we're still on track to do the BFA is working up the two concepts for our next public hearing, which will be on September 18th. So that was part of our planning grant that we're still working on. So we talked about that already. It'll be either widening the road with asphalt or adding the sidewalk. And then phase 2 will be that vehicle turnaround. So we're still on track with that. We had to, on the Bowley Lane entrance, BFA is still on track for us to go out to bid potentially by the end of the year for that. So we were waiting on obviously getting this crosswalk agreement in place with the county. So now we'll send the ordinance over so that they know that that's in place and get final feedback from them. And then BFA can move forward with getting our bid documents together. So we talked a little bit about the construction timeline. So again, being mindful of the buses and using that entrance to Bowley Lane twice a day. We're looking at either trying to fit it in over a spring break, but it may not be possible because of cure time for concrete, and they'd have to do half and half. So it's going to be, potentially a 3-week project. So we may push it back until the beginning of summer. So that's still kind of in flux in terms of when we actually would do construction on that. And then the park electrical upgrades, I have gotten the short priority list from John. I think I mentioned that last meeting. And we've gotten a short priority list from the park committee. So next step is that I'm going to be calling some electrical contractors so that we can get somebody out to kind of give us feedback on our current system and then go from there and see what we can do with that $25,000 budget that we have in this year's capital project. And I will not be at the next meeting on September the 4th.
Okay.
So I will be in Ketchikan, Alaska.
Nice.
So, so you guys will carry on without me. We won't have anything too big. And Russ and I also talked about, I don't know if you want to mention this or I will, doing the capital budget workshop. We're looking at maybe to start with a lunch meeting on August 26th from 12 to 2 on a Thursday. So check your calendars and see if that's feasible to do kind of our first capital budgeting for
Couple
2025.
hours.
Yeah, a couple hours. We'll feed you.
So next month,
Thursday.
Thursday, so the 29th.
Did I say 20? Maybe I meant
heard
September
26th.
26th.
Oh,
August?
is it
September
There you go,
26th.
there you go. Gotcha.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
could
said
do-
August.
I could do that.
I meant September.
Yes.
Thursday, September 26th. Because we can approve the budget either late October, early November, correct? So
Dave, you okay with that date?
That always
Does it have to
is.
be at
all the way to the end of the year.
does it have to be at noon?
Let me check.
It does not. We were just thinking a lunch meeting, but it does not have to be at noon.
What time works for you?
Yeah, the 20th, I can. make that
Thursday, or, yeah.
26th.
9:26, yeah.
Yeah,
30 and.
Okay.
12:30?
Just
Okay.
a little extra time.
Sure, we can do 12:30.
12:30?
Does that work for everybody? Okay, great.
Budget meeting.
Yes, it'll be kind of our initial, like we've done in the past, where we have a workshop and we just kind of go through
Mainly
the
our
capital budget.
Capital.
Yeah, for capital. Okay, I think that's all I have, unless anybody has questions.
You want to talk about the roof?
Oh, sure, yes. Kind of a late development, late breaking news. We had a leak develop in the city hall roof, water coming out of one of the lights up there in the entryway. So the roofing company came by today and evaluated the roof and found a significant amount of hail damage. So likely from that storm in May. So it looks like we will be submitting for an insurance claim and figuring that out in the coming weeks, days, months. I don't know how long that'll take. So we had some damage over at the Bell House as well, so it may just turn into one big combined claim. But we do have a $5,000 deductible here and at the Bell House, so we'll see.
It's a bargain for this building.
It is a bargain for this building. Bell House, I don't know. But
Our insurance company actually sends me one deductible
oh, really? Okay, nice.
for the,
What'd they do?
we just had one deductible for the house and the 2 cars.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh,
So yeah, now that's really all I have, unless anybody has questions.
okay. Alderman comments? Lisa?
Welcome, and that's it.
Tim?
Congratulations, Joe. Welcome. Glad you're aboard.
Thank you. Dennis?
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for joining us. I think, based on your participation with the park committee before, we know we'll enjoy your contributions.
All right, thank you.
For some reason, I have a tree that has fallen on the fence outside my property. It's on the, I think it's in the right of way of the city. I'm not sure, but it has to be determined, but it's leaning on the fence. It looks like it's been cut. But otherwise it fell. And so if they can check it out. and
We have
see
John.
Who's responsible for that?
Okay,
The appreciation dinner this fall, is Bartolino ever gonna open?
They are.
they will
Do
be
we have a
open.
date?
We do
No,
not have a date, but
fall.
they will be open.
Can we set the date for our Christmas?
We can, sure.
Season
Sure,
appreciation dinner.
sure.
Yes.
Let's pull up a calendar. What's the second
I'm
meeting?
assuming it will be at Bartolino's.
Yeah.
We hope.
Would be the 18th.
Second meeting would be the 18th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that too late? For Christmas time?
It's not
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Are you traveling?
Well, if I am, it's not that.
No, okay.
So it would be the 18th?
So tentatively December 18th. Okay.
Tentatively the 18th. So we probably should call Bartolino's and make our reservation.
Exactly.
I'm complaining about the bone dry sign in a yard. It's been there since the first week of June. We have a limit of some kind on signage. in
It's a
yards.
roofing, is it
It's a-
roofing or?
It's a roof company.
Roofing
yeah.
company.
But I don't know if they're, I think it's just an ad. It's been there since about the 3rd of June. There's another sign up on Bowling, but I don't know what kind of sign it is. The lettering is so small.
I believe it's a roof
School.
one as well.
Another roofing?
Another roofing?
Or a school one. Yeah,
There could
there
be a
was
school.
there was
I think
some
it's-
welcome to school ones out recently.
I think it's another roofing thing.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
could
it's-
be, could be.
It seems
So
like
that one
those should
hasn't-
come down.
Yeah, that one hasn't been there as long as the other
No.
one you're talking about.
Hmm.
But I think they should come down. Finally, I guess this sort of personal drag. We've had this trailer on Bowling sitting there, unattended, unattached, for days or weeks at a time. I've seen the truck with it one day, I think, from last month. And it just seems like it's abusing the situation. I know residents that have commercial vehicles are very, very cooperative in putting those in their driveway overnight, overnight parking. I'm wondering if this trailer should also be in somebody's driveway instead.
I know the trailer you're talking about. I know that the garage is full too. He runs his own construction business. So his garage is full of tools. And the 2 cars that he has takes up the driveway. So he would not have any place to put it in the driveway. He does move it when he has jobs. I haven't monitored it on a 24-hour basis, but I do know that he does move it. It doesn't appear to be a safety issue. To me, it's a low traffic road. It would probably be a hardship on the resident. And I think we have talked to him in the past about it,
Yeah, we asked him to move it back to the legal place, which he's done, and now.
so that
getting
people
around
can
to
see the
this-
stop sign.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and mostly so that the person coming here can get all the way around and into this
Yeah.
lane, so that if someone is coming
Yeah.
straight. And since then, and obviously I drive that road every time I leave. Since it's been moved back, that was my only concern with it, which wasn't really a great concern, except for that my kids probably would pull up and stay on the wrong side of the road was my concern. But yeah, like he has enough room for you to get in front of it, and that's what I was concerned about. So.
Yeah.
So I feel like he worked with us when we asked him
I will
to. So.
give feedback to the other residents that have contacted me about this. Do we know when the coffee shop opens?
I
I
haven't
have
heard,
not heard anything. No date yet.
haven't had a business license application or anything. So. We have the Save On Liquor Store grand opening next week.
Oh, yes, on the 28th. I do not think that they are going to have a ribbon cutting or anything. They have not let me know. I did tell the owner when I was in there that if he wanted you all to be there, if he wanted to invite you, you guys would go. But I haven't heard anything from him. So I would say if you want to go and just show up, it's at 9 a.m. I think starts 9 a.m. on the 28th, but I don't think they're going to have anything official.
If he would
Paper said there was an official opening on the 6th of September. Grand opening.
The paper? That
There was
is,
a story, there was like, they had 3 locations and it talked about
Huh.
all of them, and then it said the Twin Oaks one will be open, or maybe it's already open.
It is already
it is
open.
open.
Already open, and the
Yeah.
official grand opening would be on 6th September.
Oh, well, as far as I know, and what the owner has told me is that it's on August 28th is the grand opening.
That's all I knew. Thank you.
If he contact the West County Chamber,
Mm-hmm.
they probably would come out and give him a little bit of press.
Yeah, probably.
So more people
Mm-hmm.
know about it.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on attending. If anybody else wants to show up, and
9,
9 a.m., yes, is when they open, correct.
28 Hastings.
Yeah. They're going to have stuff all day, apparently, he said. Very busy day. And it's very nice inside. If you haven't been yet, I would encourage you to go. It's beautiful. There's a nice tasting bar in the back. They did a great job on the build out. It's very nice.
9.
9 a.m., yes.
they will be serving donuts and cigars.
Yeah.
That's a joke. Anything else, Dennis?
No, thank you very much for listening.
Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
Like everybody else, we welcomed you. I'm really excited because we're beginning to get better representation from across the limits of Twin Oaks. I'm really happy that you're coming from the Crescent side to represent folks over there. Of course, you represent everybody, but having somebody over on that side is good. They know who they can go talk to.
Yeah, right.
So, good. Okay, any final citizen comments?
None.
None?
Paula said she would call about the appreciation dinner tomorrow.
Okay. With that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.